All right, blessed to be part of your day. The Kevin Miller Christmas party continues. How about a big cheer, everybody?
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. Man, I have to get people rolling here. It's like they're asleep. Bruce, what would you like to say to folks?
Well, right now I'd like to say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Brian, go ahead.
I got a poem here, if I may. Here we are, Christmas with Kay Millie. We got some serious, a bit of silly. Breakfast casserole, German swirl, a bunch of old guys and a few charming girls. Shay, Bruce, Ray, Tea Party Bob, Two Fly Bride, David, Terry, and Kevin doing his job. Troops in Syria to come back home. Dude in prison wants a different sex chrome. The time of season upon us, very dear. We gather once again to bring Christmas cheer. The Marconi Award-winning man leading the crew. From here in the studio over the air to you. One final line is all I got to say. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good day.
Wow, thank you very much, Two Fly Bry. Unlike the rest of the crew here, that's talent. So, Tess, what would you like to say? Good to see you once again here.
I am so glad to be here. Well,
speak into the mic. You got to get closer.
When I think about Christmas, especially at this time of year, you think about people who aren't with you. So I consider the fact that I visited my mom and dad's gravesite the other day, and beside the area that they lay was also my best friend, and 2 graves down from her, as we celebrate the birth of Christ, laid a cement memorial that said, "Here lays an atheist with no place to go."
All right. Tea Party Bob.
It's a good day when we can be with Kevin Miller. And Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, the best dressed of all of us year after year.
Kevin, it is a special time to be in here with you and with everyone else. And I think back, 5 years ago when we were in here, we were bucking the system, during the Christmas party. We were all making sure we said, Merry Christmas, because it had become politically incorrect. And the Lord has blessed us, and now we can lovingly and cheerfully say, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. Let's go to the phones. The international playboy, Pat from Middleton, joining us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Of course, I remember Pat when he would grace us with his presence, but he's too busy being a big star. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, and Merry Christmas, and God bless each and every one of you through these very special holiday seasons going into the new year. I'd love to have come in today, but I was asked the other day to be an interim host home for an exchange student from Italy, and so I've got to kind of clean my house. So he's coming in Friday afternoon when school lets out. He's had a little issue with the host family he was staying with and another exchange student, and have to be removed and placed in another home, and they needed someone over the holiday weekend, and I said I was available. So that's what I'm doing. So I would have been in there today if I could have.
Well, lucky him.
Yeah, well, lucky me. I think it'll be a great experience to spend time with someone from Italy, and since I was just recently there. Kevin, this is a season of prayer and worship and sharing time with family and friends, loved ones, thinking of those that are gone, and thinking of those that are just arrived, new babies. I'm going to be a godfather to a brand new adopted baby girl from a couple from our parish that they waited over 2 years to adopt. And then they asked me, which I don't think they know me very well, but they asked me to be the godfather. I feel very blessed and honored. But as far as walls go and fences, you know what they always say, fences and walls make good neighbors. And it's because what it does, it keeps the soccer ball in the backyard of the one who's playing the soccer, or keeps the dog from terrorizing the neighbor's cat. And we need good walls and fences, but it's always good to have a gate. And we're going to have some gates that allow the proper use of exchange of ideas and people to immigrate properly without just this flood of people coming into our country that we know nothing about and have no record of how they got here or who they are or what their pasts are. And no, it's not going to answer every question. I never thought it would. People found a way to get out of the Berlin Wall, but that was a wall of hate. This is a wall of protection and keeping people honest. And dishonest people are always going to make it through. They're always going to find a way, but it's easier to catch 10 versus a million. And what it'll do is it'll free up our resources to properly take care of the ones that want to come in here legally. And it'll allow people to do so. If you have an open border, they're just going to come because they think it'll be easier. Or the way our liberals are, they love to give everything away. And you know what? We can't afford that. There are plenty of workers in America, and sorry about that. There's plenty of workers in America that are looking for work, and young kids, young high school kids, need an opportunity to learn how to work because we got snowflakes that melt every time they're asked to do anything. And anyway, that's my spiel on that. And I love all you guys. I love hearing from all you guys. It was good to hear Ray on there this morning. He sounds good, still sounds motivated and positive. Tea Party Bob, I love you, even though we get into little scuffles from time to time. But it's the sentiments there. It's been fun to be on this journey with you, Kevin. And I love the radio show. I always have. Listened to it every day, except for when I'm on the radio for my own station. So I had to throw a little plug in there. So
that's
I hope
right,
everything
Pat.
goes well.
Pat in the Man Cave on Salt Light Radio, the Catholic channel. And I say that because Pat was so gracious to have me on his program. So back to you, the budding king of all Treasure Valley media.
Well, and you know, since my life has been turned upside down more than a couple times, I felt that I realized over all my mistakes that, you know, I really have learned everything I can. I'm still learning more, but I've learned a lot from it. But if I can prevent someone from going through some of the things I did, because a lot of them was spiritual related, it was a lack of God in my life, a lack of guidance and direction on a spiritual realm that would have put my family first and my wife first and would have handled the way I grieved better and not be so. I mean, when my son died, I tell people all the time, I don't remember anything from 2004 to 2006 or 7, right around there, where I was in a haze and a fog, and I know I made a lot of mistakes. And if I can help one person, one man, one family from going down that same path and destroying their marriage over just simple miscommunication and no spiritual direction, I will feel like I've accomplished what I've been called to do. And we learn from our mistakes. And if I can help someone else learn, that is a mission that I'm willing to do. And so I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, drive all the way from Sand Hollow to be there on time. But it's only once a week for 10 minutes, and I love it. And I love being on your radio show. I wish I could call in more, but I got to make a living.
Well, it is all about priorities, Pat.
Well, it is. And when I can retire, I'll probably be still working when I'm doing that too. So I wish there was an easy way, but I lost a lot when the Obama economy hit us, and people don't realize how bad it was for those that were self-employed and how much taxes and all the interest rates on credit cards really hurt the middleman, the individual that used those services to help function around his business when cash flow was low, and to take that away and to make it so expensive, it really gave us no other options. And I don't think people realize how hard it was on those that were already scraping by or close to the edge as it was. And so, but this Trump economy has been busy and good for me this year. And I've been very blessed, and I thank God every day for those blessings. And, you know, to have you do this Christmas, I really wanted to come. I tried to get up, but I was so exhausted from cleaning last night and getting a room ready for this young man that I haven't even met yet. But he's only been with me for 2 weeks, and I want to make it an enjoyable transition because he did have a bad go, and I don't want him to leave Idaho or America thinking that we're just not kind people. So.
Anything else, Pat?
Well, just that I've always, Kevin, you and I, we have a lot in common. I love you to death. And, I want to tell you about Hallmark movies. Yes, they're not always Christ-centered, But I tell you what, you always hear Christmas songs. You always hear the words Christmas in it. You always hear the hope and joy and possibility of love and friendship. And they always talk about the importance of family. Yeah, it may not always be Christ-centered, but when you can put the focus on the meaning of Christmas on a regular basis, I like those Christmas movies because they're clean, they're hopeful, they're positive, they're bright, and they have a good attitude about things. And it shows people who deal with challenges, not on a heavy level, but you know what? It's good to have some good cheer and good positive around. I'd rather watch those than anything else out there right now.
All right.
And God bless you all.
God bless you, Pat. Take care.
You have a good day.
All right. We appreciate Pat from Middleton. Tea Party Bob, your thoughts?
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate it very much. I'm sure everybody else here does too.
Well, I think that it's pretty amazing that you want to put out some good insights as to some good movies. I know that PureFlix is another place you can get that kind of
Okay,
stuff.
this is Tune Out Time. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And the Christmas party continues. We're getting some texts. Kevin, this sounds like a very lame Christmas party. Everybody sounds like they're asleep. I would agree with you on that. Liberal Steve as well, saying he's not being entertained. We've got Shay, we've got Bruce, we've got Tess, Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, Two Fly Bry, and Tea Party Bob. So let's take a look at the year that was, the year in review. We had this great governor's race. And Bruce, your thoughts on the Republican, really the Republican nomination process. You had three great candidates. To me, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. What were your impressions of the most expensive, most competitive governor's race that we've had?
It was definitely an interesting race. I'm not sure everybody got a fair, square deal out of it. A lot of money, a lot of lies towards the end got spread out. So, and, you know, Raul, he chose not to go against some of the negative ads that were thrown out against him, which I think was a mistake. So in the end, his poll numbers dropped down and everything else. But
I think he did respond to the negative ads.
I think he responded, but I still think the problem was that he was going to eliminate a lot of the bureaucracy, or at least take some of their jobs away, and that's what killed him. When you got 70,000 state employees with their wives voting, they're voting their wallets.
yeah, but a lot of it was he to me, he waited a little bit too long and didn't come out as strong as he should have immediately. And I can't totally blame him for it, but it just, there's a lot of, I'm getting tired of all politics is mudslinging anymore. Why can't you say, this is why I'm running, not don't vote for him because he did this? Tell me why to vote for you, not why to vote against the other person.
No, that's not part of politics anymore, because there is no reason to vote for most of these people.
Well, that's true. But
Boy, you're very optimistic, Tea Party Bob. Anybody else want to jump in? So, again, you just kind of said something about Congressman Labrador, but anything else? I mean, you had Brad Little, now the governor-elect. Were you surprised that he won, considering you had Dr. Alquist, Congressman Labrador, and the lieutenant governor?
I was a little surprised he won because a lot of the people I talked to and the people I heard were tired of Butch's campaign and Butch's this and Butch's that, and they
were tired of the Butch.
They were tired of the Butch, and they basically were saying Brad was just going to be Butch Jr. So, yeah, in a roundabout way, I was a little surprised that he got the nomination. I was thinking it was going to be either Raul or Tommy Alquist, is where I thought it was going to go.
But he got the nomination with 37% of the vote, not even a plurality.
Well, we appreciate that, but let's let some other people jump in here.
Yeah.
Well,
You'll get your turn.
Some people look at it, is Brad Little going to be the fourth term of Otter, or was simply this last term the first term of Little, and he's just going into a second term? Either way, there's just no shift there. I think they weeded out Fulcher. I think Fulcher would have been the better governor, but they didn't like him, and they said, no, we'll just send you out of state, let you enjoy that for a couple of years. Kind of like they did with Sally there. They sent him off, and then they didn't like what he was doing, and they kicked him to the curb and put Raul in.
Well, they had somebody by the name of Walter Minnick, and Raul Labrador was never the friend of the establishment. But, you know, again, getting back to these great political competitors, you know, we forgot about now Congressman-elect Fulcher, but we started the year where we had Dr. Alquist, Lieutenant Governor Little, Congressman Labrador, and former state senator Russ Fulcher. That's a big heavyweight for an Idaho governor's race. So, your thoughts, Tess, on the race.
Well, I was glad to see that Mr. Labrador and Mr. Fulcher changed places. I would like to see Mr. Labrador run for the AG's office. I think that's a pretty
the state
position.
AG's office?
Yes. We really need someone in there to take that position and do some right things. And I think people would be very, very supportive of that. As for the gubernatorial race, I had no doubt that Mr. Little was going to win. I saw the votes that Ms. Jordan got, but the thing is that she's a candidate that kind of came out of the blue, had too much suspicious support, and she still hasn't been made accountable for all those funds that went to someplace else. So hopefully we don't see that candidate again, and if we do, hopefully they'll take a look at her background.
Well, she did get a lot of the votes there too, Flyby. So back to the primary, where you had, you're happy that Russ Fulcher's a congressman, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm not. I'm happy that he is congressman in one regard, but I don't see that he's going to last more than a couple of years. I don't think that.
What do you mean by that? Last more than a couple of years?
I don't think that they're going to let him be there for more than a couple of years. Fulcher. I don't think.
Who's going to let him be there?
The GOP establishment around here, because he doesn't really want to sing their song, and he's only playing into them so he can help get somewhere. And he'll say, "Yeah, I'll do this and that for you," but he does want to make a change in some regards. It's not the kind of changes they want to see him trying to put forward. Though.
Right, but you look at the GOP establishment. Let's just go to Ada County. We lost 2 county commissioners. It doesn't seem like it's a very well-run machine when you're looking at the Ada County Republicans. It's disorganized and all sorts of a mess. So how in the world can they go out against Congressman Fulcher? I don't see that happening.
They don't have a well-run machine. They never have had a real well-run machine since Butch started.
Maybe you should take over.
Oh, please don't get me involved in that hornet's nest.
Well, Tony Snesko, he ran for state office around here. You remember him? He founded Idaho Carry. And he's enjoying some time back with his wife in D.C. area. He said, "Yeah, we should see by 2018 when it comes around, we're going to see more Ada County become more Democratic or blue than red." And if you look at the charts and the statistics, you'll see that we've become just that.
Right, but back to my point, we had these political heavyweights. Terry from State College, Pennsylvania. You want to comment on the governor's race? I just find it fascinating.
And it was fascinating, but I want to jump over to where Bruce was out here a second ago. It was unfortunate to watch Labrador. He took the hits. And when it was ready time to come back and say, okay, no, here's what the real story is, he was out of money. So I watched some various moves being made by all of them. You can see where their mistakes were at. I wish Tommy would have come out. I understand that he's a man that could govern well, but he shouldn't have come out slinging right off the get-go. It's like, okay, come on, tell us what you're going to do.
Well, I think he did. I think he did with the hospital plans and the health care and everything else. I know Tea Party Bob's rolling his eyes, but
not initially. He did, Kevin. Initially, he came out and he says, "Here's why you don't want to vote for them." And it's like, come on, what a way to get started. And that was my initial impression as a voter of Mr. Ahlquist. Now, if he would have come out and said, here's my experience, here's what I think we can achieve together, let's rock and roll, he'd had my vote.
And we continue on with the ever-dissipating Christmas party here. We go to Tea Party Bob.
When you start talking about Tommy Ahlquist, I'm going to go back to the same thing I said during the election. He's a nice guy. He's done a lot. But I can't see somebody who's a developer and been a doctor, become a developer, wants to become governor, and has built and taken literally tax money from all of these urban renewal developments and put them into his company. Why are you building them? I mean, that tells me that he is for government telling and giving money, basically, to private enterprise. And I'm not for that, and I never have been.
Sure, but back to the whole horse race, if you will. I mean, you had, these 3 guys, then Congressman Fulcher or former State Senator Fulcher goes into the congressional race. I mean, to me, it was just a fascinating thing to observe.
I think Fulcher would have had a good shot had he gotten into the governor's race. He was not dependent on the GOP. He had 43% in 2014, which was a really high achievement level for somebody going up against an incumbent governor. That has not been done before.
What if it were a 4-way race there?
Well,
How do
it
you think
never
that
would
would?
have
How
been.
do you think that would have broken down?
Oh, I think that Little would have won hands down because the vote would have been split between Labrador and Fulcher. And then you had Tommy in there also. But, no, Little would have won if you had, no matter how you mix this up, he has the machine behind him.
A very effective machine.
Look, remember, this guy used to be the chairman of IACI 20 years ago.
Right, but I mean, you got to give his people their due. I mean,
Oh, no question. I don't say anything
I mean,
against that.
to have the video to get to the president of the United States,
Sure.
with the Labrador cuts, the commercials at the last second. The guy worked nonstop. Again, from a political scientist's point of view, it was textbook. Of course, when you have the most or more resources than others, it's it's kind of like the North versus the Civil War. It was inevitable.
Look, he had the money and he had the backing, and he had the chambers, he had the business organizations, he had the lobbyists, the big lobbyists, and of course he had Otter Pack.
Well, he had his voters, though. He had his base.
Let me tell you what his base is like. When I see one sign in my district, okay, that's out there for Little, that doesn't tell me he has a very great base.
And what, 36, 37% of the vote?
Not even a plurality, my friend.
Tough when you have two other big candidates to get a majority.
Yeah, I told you the reason I saw that happen.
All right. The world according to Tea Party Bob continues. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right. A rather unfestive Christmas party continues here on KIDO Talk Radio. We go to Pro-Life. Pro-Life, I wish we were here because we're not very festive today. I don't know who's ruined the mood. Maybe it's Tea Party Bob, but good morning.
No, I think they're all right. They're just, they're just trying to figure out what to say for the radio. But, generally, our problems are our own. And we buy into the establishment, and I'm talking about we buy into the food establishment. Sugar's poison. We shouldn't be eating that. And we eat chemicals in our food.
Yeah, pro-life.
Yeah?
We're not talking about that.
I know we're not.
You're bringing us down. I mean, look, I can go back to Tea Party Bob bashing everybody.
Well,
I could go to Terry, and I don't know what Terry's going to talk about. Brian, don't build the wall.
Here's the real answer.
Can we have something good before Glenn Beck?
Yeah, here's the real answer. Jesus Christ is God. He's God the Son. There's God the Father, God the Mother. We need to read the New Testament and follow Jesus Christ and honor him on his birthday. It isn't his real birthday, but it's the day we choose. But anyway, we have a good eternity if we follow Jesus Christ. And
fair enough, pro-life.
All right. God bless you.
Why aren't you here?
Oh, I don't know. I have to work. I got too many things to do.
All right. Well,
we love you guys.
We love you, pro-life. Take care.
All right. Bye.
All right. Any thoughts there, Tea Party Bob?
Yeah, I think it's time for a few songs and cheer this group up. They're a little bit slow.
Well, I don't know about that. I got to go back to this future we're going to see with the lieutenant governor, now the governor. It's going to be interesting, and I still think that if you're President Trump, and let's go to Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, because I'm always accused of too much Tea Party Bob. Do you go with Labrador or do you go with Otter if you're looking for a replacement for the Secretary of Interior?
I think that Otter really has no more political gain that he needs to pursue anymore. So I think that he could take on the position and do well. Very specifically, being a rancher here, he wants our land back.
Right.
And now when we look over here at Labrador, he's young, he's aggressive, he understands how it all works. He could also get our land back, and I think that's the primary concern if we get to
But does the feds want to really get our land back, or is it just?
Well, Jared Kushner made it quite clear. No way. He wants more of our land. Now here's the son-in-law of our president, even though he fell from grace.
Well, you probably want somebody that's going to agree with you, so that would be Governor Otter.
Well, he certainly would agree with Otter, and more than Labrador, that's for sure. But
plus, they're like the same age; they're in their 70s. Now, that's not a shot, but I mean, do you want?
No, I hear you. I hear
some young kid who's 50-ish, or do you want somebody mature in their 70s, like the president?
And you bring a good point. At this point in time, juncture in his life, why would he want to continue on in politics and go to Washington at that age?
Governor Otter?
Otter.
He's a political animal.
He may be a political animal, but
I mean, to serve in the administration.
Doesn't he have grandchildren? Doesn't he have a family? Doesn't he have friends? I mean, he spent all this time serving. Isn't it time to enjoy his life a little bit?
I think you're flip flopping. Let's go back to it. The choice between Otter and Labrador, two fly by.
I think Otter would be not a good choice, only because I think he's physically sort of not up for it much anymore. And if you've gone to several of the Idaho for the Day or Capital for the Day things, you can just see he's just wearied in just his general physique and stuff like that. And I think, I think Labrador would be fine doing that. I think we have a good Western representative there. I think it would be better for us to have.
I got to tell you, the governor's doing his last one today in Star from 9 to 3, and we had him on, a month ago, and he seemed fine to me.
Yeah, last time I saw him, it just didn't seem like he was moving as much as he used
Maybe
to.
Maybe a new job would reinvigorate him.
That could be true. Yeah. That could be true. I think if he became interior, perhaps, I'm only seeing his exterior, not his interior, and how he's doing inside. So, hey, there you go.
That's a very profound insight. Bruce?
I think Otter would probably go down the road of selling out to China again, something along those lines.
How could he sell it to China when he's working for Trump?
Well, right now, or a lot of the trade deals he's done in the West and stuff, and with Idaho, has been trying to open up the markets to the Asians and what have you, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just don't want to see our lands go that way. I think Labrador would do good at bringing the lands back to Idaho.
Well, wait a minute, though. The president decides. It's not the Secretary of the Interior. I mean, the Secretary of the Interior just obeys what the president tells him to do.
Yeah, but he's also going to have input. He's going to have things to say and do.
Who would be more influential? Who would have more? And there's it's a serious question. Who would be? I'm not trying to lead the witness here. In your opinion, who would be more influential with President Trump, Butch Otter or Raul Labrador?
I think Butch would be more in line with Trump. But as far as to who would listen to or who Trump would listen to, I don't think Trump really listens to that many people 100%. Trump's pretty much made up his mind, so he's being either reinforced what he believes or he's hearing something that, oh, okay, maybe I can kind of change my mind because I can kind of see your point. But for the most part, Trump knows what he's doing and where he's going.
Fair enough. Tess, your thoughts here.
Well, when people are talking about land, and, I remember what a lot of the things that Andrus did, but, I'm hoping that people are aware and informed enough. Right now they're looking at a bill in Congress, and it's to renew funds to give money to agencies, both state and federal. And, our fishing groups, our nonprofit so-called fishing groups in here are really advocating for this. And what that money will allow them to do is come in and do what? To allow these agencies to buy properties to convert them over to government land. So I guess you have to ask that question, get those people on the line and ask them about things like that.
Right, but again, back to the point, I mean, to me, it's a personal preference. Is it going to be Governor Otter or Congressman Labrador? Who do you think would get it?
I really don't know. Just as I said, my personal preference would be to see Labrador stay here in Idaho.
Right, and he hasn't been mentioned for the Attorney General's job. Of course, that would be 4 years from now. He would have to run against Lawrence Dawson if he would seek re-election. We go to the phone. Steve in Nampa joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for taking my call. I got a question for you and the group. It's an interesting conversation you're having. I think we're kind of missing the bigger point here. I hope that you all saw the story that broke about the leader of Antifa and his true identity, and his mother works as a professor, et cetera, et cetera. And I hope I kind of think we're asking the wrong questions. And the question I have for you, Kevin, and for the rest of your group there is that when is enough going to be enough? This country is being taken by the left. It is being taken, period. We cannot appease them. We can appease, we can appease, we can appease. We can try and be Neville Chamberlain and take that approach. When is enough going to be enough? And I'd like to ask you, Kevin, is it going to be when there's gender-neutral bathrooms in Boise Airport, or is it going to be when they have legalized gender reassignment for 6-year-olds, and we're paying for it on our tax dime. Is it going to be when they finally nationally ban all guns? When is enough going to be enough? And who's going to have the fortitude to stand up and say, I don't really care who's governor. This is my country, and I'm taking it back.
Anyone?
It's an interesting thought process. When is enough going to be enough? I don't think it's going to be enough for the Democrats until they actually have control of almost everything. And you have to understand they've had control in the deep state for many, many years. It's not so much the elected officials who make most of the decisions. It's the bureaucrats that have been in Washington for 10, 20, and 30 years that are actually making the decisions. So, I mean, you have to change it.
But how do we change it? We've as conservatives, as
but I think
God-fearing, law-abiding citizens, we're just being marginalized.
Great point. Thank you, Steve, for the call. Brian, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I've been looking for 54 other men who are willing to sign on a document, something like we've had a couple hundred years ago, to put forward their honors, their sacred honor, their lives, and their fortunes. I've not found 54 others.
Well, that in and of itself is part of the problem. I don't remember the total stats, but you look at every election, less than half of the eligible voters ever vote. Most people, as long as they've got food on the table, they don't care. So when's enough going to be enough? When that mass of people actually don't have it anymore, when they've got no choice.
I think we might have reached the tipping point when there are more of them than us. Speaking of which, we go back to Liberal Steve, who I don't know why you're calling again, but it is the Christmas spirit. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody again, and it's such a glorious Christmas. And Max got the call again, so I figured, I get to call again, and I'd like to invite your group up to my cabin here in McCall. Come on up, let's do some snowmobiling. Have a few shots of the old hot tolly. If everybody's game, I'll keep you away from the avalanches.
Hot tolly?
Is that what I said?
You must have had too much of a hot toddy already.
Hear my duckies out here? They're freezing to death. Hey, Miller, come on now. You guys down there.
Keep your duckies to yourself.
You know what's going on. You know that we're taking over. Liberalism's just another name for the deep state. If you don't plan your work will never work. Plan your work, plan your political strategy. It takes centuries and centuries, but we'll have it done, and it'll be a perfect world. That's just the way it's going to be, Miller. So when these people here who are now getting closer to their grave than they are to birth, they'll realize this when they cross over. We are the spark that will start the fire that'll burn down the empire.
It's burned out everything.
Fire it up, Miller.
All right. Thank you very much.
Christmas.
Yeah, thank you for that Christmas wish. Good day. Oh, this might be the last Christmas party. I'm going to tell you, this might be it. I don't know. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. When I think of our friend Cindy, who used to be with us, I think of you, Tea Party Bob. Was there anything between you two at all?
A lot of conversation.
I don't know. It just seemed like there was kind of an attraction there, I thought.
Cindy never really stopped talking.
We had a lot of people that didn't like Cindy. They complained about her because she talked all the time.
Well, she always seemed to have something to say. She never said anything real bad about anyone.
She had a lot to say.
You're talking past tense of her.
Well, she's not here anymore.
Okay. Didn't know that.
She's in Washington.
Very good.
She's out with the real liberals.
Oh, I see.
Well, but when you hear that, what goes on in your mind, Bruce?
I always thought she was a nice lady. Yeah, she's got a lot of opinions, very opinionated.
Well, no, not Cindy, but the entire montage there. My mistake.
I don't know.
All right, Bruce, thank you. Let's final thoughts quickly around the horn. Tea Party Bob.
It's been a great year, Kevin. I really appreciate everything you do for this community and having this station here available for us to voice our opinions. If we didn't have this, I'm not sure what we would have.
We appreciate you. Terry from State College, Pennsylvania.
Kevin, it has been a good year. I mean, it's been a year of transition for America. It's been a year of transition for many of us as conservatives. And I just continue to look forward to the Lord bless us. You know, it's like somebody said the other day, President Trump may not be a godly man, but he certainly is God's man right now in the White House. And I think it's a real blessing to every one of us.
All right, Brian.
Well, I wish Fulcher all the best in Congress. Thank you, Kelvin, for having this time with us here. To wish you a very Merry Christmas, you and Mrs. Miller, and all of the staff here at KIDO. Merry Christmas.
All right, Tess.
Oh, love your children enough to teach them to walk through doors they're most afraid of and call life for what it really is.
Okay, Brian. See,
Brian.
I called you Brian. You're Bruce.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're 2 for 2. Go ahead,
We're
Bruce.
even. Well, I want to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Kevin. It's been a great year. Love listening to you. Can't wait till next year to see where our country, this show, and everything goes.
I don't know after this show. I don't know if we want to see where our country's going, but go ahead.
But, yeah, Tea Party Bob, you guys, it's great seeing you again. And always love it and love listening to the show.
Well, we love you. Thank you for support. Tea Party Bob, what are we singing?
How about we wish you a Merry Christmas, because that seems like that's the appropriate word.
All right, here we go.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
One more time, everybody. One more time.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
How's that for you?
Oh, come on.
Merry